I think I might just go like that actually. We'll just try and get the volume level right. I'll just mute my phone because I was getting a fair bit of feedback there. It was like I could hear it looping around 3 times. And I think I'll literally just do the giveaway in a minute. We'll just wait, I guess. Change the tile, wait, see if a few people join, see what the volume level's like, and yeah, I don't think it's clipping. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments now. I haven't been able to watch for ages here because I've obviously been messing with the corrosion. Yeah, it could be corrosion, I don't know. It's, I don't know what it is. I don't know where that noise is. It's kind of, it says definitely a buffering audio desync issue. It's surprising there's 43 people here just waiting for me to sort my shit out, basically. Hang on, let's press OK. You know where the noise is coming from? Where? Yeah, it's coming from me. You've heard it on many streams. What's the volume like there now? Can you hear me? I'm a bit too loud, am I clipping, am I too quiet? Is the background music too loud? In fact, you might even be able to hear the background music. I'll re-enable that, turn it down a little bit. Just tell me whether that's too quiet or too loud. I'll give it a minute because obviously it's going to take a minute for you guys to be able to hear. Yeah, Wolvenar, I'm not sure what the AC hum source is. It seems to be that of the mic. So, Ian Scott Johnson, too quiet. Let me just see if I can adjust that a bit. I think I'm at the limits. No, I'm not. I can go up a bit. How's that? Is that a bit better? Hang on. A bit better there. It's not quite clipping, I don't think. Your PCM retro gamer needs a budget cadge. Yeah, I do. The mic is a bit quiet, sensitive to how far away you are from. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Needs more hot glue. Yeah. A few toilet rolls or something. So I'm going to do the giveaway in a few minutes, I think. But I mean, since you're here now, I'll show you something anyway. I'll show you a couple of things. These are a couple of GP2X games that I developed way back in, I don't know, 2000, 2001-ish, maybe 2002. So if you're not aware, the GP2X was an ARM-based system. Came from South Korea. Not ARM Holdings, Game Park Holdings, I think the company was called. They produced the GP32. You know, it was kind of like a Linux-based system that primarily was aimed at emulators and things. You know, so there was a port of MAME to it and a port of various other games and things. And the GP2X was the follow-up to that. I think it just had a slightly faster processor. It actually had 2 ARM processors. It had it was one of those. I think it used the Magic Eyes chipset. So it was a system on a chip, contained 2 ARMs. I think it had a 940, was it? And a 928, I don't know, I can't quite remember the part numbers, but nevertheless, this was a game, as I say, I developed for that. Let me just see if I can control this. Hopefully you can still see what's going on here. I'll try and get the cursor off the screen. Yeah, so it was written in C++, this, using the development kit. I forget, was it, I can't remember the version of C++ it used, but anyway. I'll just show you through some of the things here. You can see there, picture of the GP2X. That's where, you know, it shows you the controls and things. It's probably good to refresh myself with what the controls are on this. I'm not sure how I'm going to get some of the keys on the keyboard here, but yeah, because I cross-compiled it. That was the other thing. The nice thing with it, the development kit for the GP2X, you could cross-build and make executables that would run in Windows. So I did that for both the games I produced for the GP2X. Anyway, those are the controls, so if we press X, whatever that is, hang on. High scores. I've got all high scores there. All the images came from NASA, actually. They're all free artwork that you could use for non-commercial. So yeah, it was just a basic Space Invaders game, but yeah, I added a few nice power-ups and things, and you see it's a bit harder than normal Space Invaders because you've got to do a fair bit of damage to these ships. They've got a little, I don't know if you can see it, red dot above them. It's like a little bar. It shows you how many hits they've got to take. And like kind of a lot of games of this style, you get the little power-ups to do different spread shots and things, you know. kill a few here. That was a spread shot. It's quite a wide one, that. And you just progress through the solar system here, firing these off, and you get different types of ships. The graphics are pretty basic, but see, this is the highlight of my capability of doing graphics myself. I didn't get anybody else to help me with this. This was just a solo project. I'll show you another game in a minute, actually, for the GP2X, and that was the graphics for that were done by some experienced graphics guys, and you can see the difference. These, believe it or not, were just creating fireworks. These ships, it was like I don't know. I took a sphere or something, stretched it a bit, made it look shiny, etc. The explosions were done in particle illusion. That's like a package you can buy to do with, you know, to generate all sorts of particle effects and things. You can do explosion and smoke and all sorts of things, really, like gas, lightning. But there were some boss ships as well. I had a couple of bosses in here. As you get a few rounds in, we should get to one of those. But can you say something about the energy bar across the top there? Each one of them's got a little red line that shows how many, you know, how much shields they've got. I think, if anything, it was a bit, you know, I overdid this a bit. It's over-engineered. It really didn't need this level of complexity. But then again, a lot of people tend to, you know, seem to like it. I just never followed up and finished it off. It was a demo more than anything. So you can say that attack patterns have changed completely there. Oh, you have a shield as well. I forgot about that. Yeah, see, you've got a shield there. I can press the shield button. Hang on, where's the shield button? I can't put the shield button is now. Trying to find it. Oh, there it is. There we go. Yeah, so you get a shield and it recharges, and it gives you a sound actually just to indicate when that's recharged. Just listen out. Oh, I want that. You get special weapons. See that? It's like destroys everything. So we're up to where are we up to now? Yeah, this is kind of a mini boss. So you can see it fires kind of heat-seeking shots at you. Trying to find the shield key again. I can't remember what the hell I pressed now. Because I have got a shield that recharges. Up. Lost control of the fucking thing. Yeah, anyway, I've cocked that up. I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing there. Let me just look at the comments, because it's super hard to see what people are saying while I'm actually playing. Yeah, just reading some of the comments. Yes, Daniel Black, so the GP2X is kind of like the Pandora. Yeah, it was. It was a predecessor to the Pandora. Actually, all the people on the GP2X community were pretty blown away with the system, but wanted to improve it and enhance it. And a few guys, I think it was the guys related to dragonbox.de. You might be aware of that site where you can buy EverDrive carts and things from, and mods, screen mods and things like that. They went away and designed the Pandora themselves to follow on and try and make it backwards compatible. And I think to a certain level it is backwards compatible. So just reading on here, Neffers, honestly, he's stupid amount of flux fixing Apple stuff, but hey, it clearly works. Electron Ash, he did, yep. I was impressed by that. Magic Heat Gun. I've missed some of the stuff above here. Yeah, I've lit to make coffee table with an oil drum. About to attempt first BGA reballing. Yeah, I'm about to attempt my first BGA reballing as well, Electron Ash. I got that GameCube. You might have seen the second part where I spotted that one of the balls there was absolutely corroded, and it looked like it was missing actually. After I've heated it to try and reflow, it looked like it had gone. It looked like the ball had just disappeared. I think it was still there. I think it was just so heavily corroded that I couldn't see it. But nevertheless, about 3 or 4 days after that video, I got the hot air, removed it, put some pictures up on Twitter actually, and it was just a damaged pad on the PCB, you know. There's a bit of corrosion there, so I've had to order some solder balls actually, because I was going to try with solder paste with one of those generic stencils. But the problem is, the underneath of the Nintendo CPU there, it's got like a raised part in it in the middle, you know, like it's kind of encapsulating over the middle of the die, if you like. So you put a generic stencil on there that's totally square, it's not got that hole in the middle, you can't just smooth solder paste over it, as I'd planned to do, and heat it with hot air to, to reball it. So I've had to order some solder balls. PCM Gamer, what a load of old balls, lol. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll just show you the other GP2X game, and then we'll do the draw. So if I try and quit out of this, I'm not sure how the hell you do it now. I thought it was escape. Doesn't seem to be. Let me try and end task it. I apologise if this stream crashes as a result of me trying to end task this. Hang on. Oh my god, task manager's not responding now. Yeah, it is. That's back. Yeah, that's gone. Hopefully the stream is still there. Let me just try and launch the other one. Yeah, so that's working. So as I say, this was another one for the GP2X, again cross-compiled to Windows. The graphics and stuff were done by Trevor Storians, Trevor Stories and Smiler, two guys that are kind of synonymous with the homebrew scene. They've done a fair bit of work actually on games for retro games, remakes and things. And they entered this into competition in 2006. I think they might come first or second. So I wrote again the GP2X version for this. The way they developed it, they used something called Multimedia Fusion, which I don't know whether you've played with it. If you think of Macromedia Flash, it's a kind of similar kind of thing where you get a GUI interface, you drag and drop things around, and you can set paths for things to move. You can put little snippets of code behind, and it was, I imagine it would have been an awful lot of work for them to do. So me being a real developer, if you like, I really didn't want to go down the road of trying to interpret what they did, so I just wrote the whole thing from scratch, again in C++. So if we try and start the game here, hang on. Oh, I've got to highlight it first. I'm sorry I can't respond to comments while I'm doing this, because it's kind of full screen. So again, you've got instructions here, and I think the controls. So yeah, we've got movement, bait button, fire button, and a menu. And you can, same as the home versions of this, you can enter the account code and start with a certain amount of money. So when you get to the end of the game, if you get to Zool, it'll give you a code, and you can write that down and then enter that in the second time the next time you come to play the game, and it'll give you the same amount of cash. So we'll go with the 1963 hearse. Select one of each of these. I think we should have enough. We might be able to get a second or third ghost trap. So you load your car up and then start the game. And the idea is to move your Ghostbusters icon there to the flashing buildings, either the red or the purple buildings. Purple means it's kind of about to get haunted by a ghost, but it's not necessarily, it's not actually got a haunting at that point in time. And the idea is just to generally, catch all the ghosts before they get to Zool. I mean, you'll be familiar with this if you've played any of the home versions. I'm going to get a copyright strike on this stream, but I'm quite happy for them to do that if they want to make some, do some advertising off it. I won't put advertising on this. So I'll try a different one there, different building. Oh, ghost vacuum. Yeah, so you've got to hold the fire button down to suck up the ghost, try and collect the cash, try and avoid the other cars. And I spiced this up a little bit. There were some changes I made to this over the original one. I mean, namely, the main thing is when you come across, trying to redo something like this on a more modern platform, obviously you've got, as you can hear, OGG music, equivalent of MP3. It's super easy to do that sort of stuff, and obviously you've got much higher resolution graphics. And as I say, Trevor Story and Smiler did a fantastic job on the graphics for this game. It looks really, really sweet. The one thing I never did on this is get the streamer collision working properly. I just basically got lazy and never Oh, never finished it off. But as I say, the aim is to stop the ghost getting to Zool in the middle here. When you get to a certain amount of PK, around 8,000 I think, that's when you start getting the Marshmallow Man spawning. And if you don't have bait and drop one of those to attract the ghosts that are going to form the Marshmallow Man, he stomps on the building and costs you quite a lot of money. And you've got to have, I think, is it 10,000 by the time you get to the end? I'm playing really awful here. I'll see if I could just jump to... In fact, I can. I added a cheat in for the PC version just so I can skip ahead. So if I just take them back to base, and we can skip to the marshmallow bit. Yeah, I think the siren I added in. I think there were a number of small things like that that didn't exist in the version that Trevor and Smiler produced. You see, I'm pressing Q here. See PK energy at the top. It's shooting up. I can actually increase it. I just can't remember what the bait key is. So when the Marshmallow Man starts to come in a minute, one of the buildings will go white when he's about to appear. Oh, missed it. Damn. Hang on a minute, a phone going. I'll have to answer that in a minute. What I'll do now, I'll do the giveaway, I think. I'm sorry for people who've been hanging around all night while I've been trying to get this up and running. I'm sure it's still not right, the sound's not perfect. Let's just close that down, and I think I should be able to go over to another window if I can work out how to do it. Hang on. Right, just bear with me a minute, because I did have a capture set up for this and it's not working now. So I'll go random org. What I'm going to do is just get the random generator up here. I'm quite surprised it hasn't crashed yet. It crashed a fair bit before. And I'll just set that up ready, 87, and then I need to open the CSV file. So just bear with me a minute, guys. I'll catch up with the comments and things in a sec. It's a bit of an impromptu live stream. I know I did say to patrons that I would do this over the weekend, and I've kind of rushed into this really because I felt like I kind of needed to get something up this weekend. But you know, moving forward, if I try and do some live streams, I want to get into the camera so that I can at least maybe set up in the conservatory so you can actually see me working on something. But I do need another mic because this is not an ideal solution. Right, let me see if I can share that window now. Let's remove or add a new source, window capture. Okay, there it is. It's funny, I did have this set up before, but anyway, hopefully you can see that. Let me have a look back at the stream to see what you can see. Yeah, thanks to you, Roro. You never have to. I know you do. I know you don't, but it's me. I just felt like I kind of owed it. Because I've been. The other thing is, that's the C64. This blue C64. I must have said about 12 months ago, or more than 12 months ago now, when I first set up Patreon, that I was going to give that away, and I just haven't got around to it. And I'll be honest, I completely forgot about it. So yeah, so you can. Oh, you can see what I'm doing here on the comments now, sharing the wrong window. So because you've not got anything else up there. Right, here we go. So if I show you the list here, we'll have a scroll up and down this list just so you can see these are all the patrons currently. It's first name, last name, and those are the names that appear. Actually, there's some characters not displaying there, and I think it's obviously because you know the character set. But yeah, it'll be obvious who it is, and I can actually look at the Patreon list in a minute. So if I just scroll down here, let's say I've given everybody who's currently an active Patreon as of the date that I put in the posting on Patreon there. There were a couple of people that joined the day after, but they won't be included unfortunately, because I did say, I think it was up to the 8th or something, I can't quite remember now. In fact, we can see that on the Patreon post here somewhere. Hang on, if we go to posts, published. We just look at this here, on view. I wish they'd stop changing these interfaces. They've made Patreon even harder to use than it was before. I often moan about things like that. I mean, I say the same thing I keep saying about other interfaces, like with Windows and with iOS on Apple devices. These companies keep updating these things, and the interfaces aren't broken. They change them and they just alienate users. My wife is having a similar sort of problems with Skype. They updated Skype, and she can't find half the things she used to be able to do, and they've limited it. So yeah, as I said, any patrons as of the 7th of the 5th, I do appreciate that. Perhaps wasn't very clear in terms of country, the way different countries interpret. I know in the US you have month, day. In the UK we have day, month. So as of the 7th of the 5th. So come back to that list. Yeah, as I say, there's everybody on the list there. I'll just scroll back up that. Everyone's got a unique number from 1 to 87. We're going to random.org. So this is a true random number generator. Yeah, if you don't really know what I mean by true random, because I've seen on some streams people use like a C64 or something to do a giveaway, and yeah, okay, it's random. It is random, but it's not. It's not entirely random. It's based on how long the CPU's been running, how many cycles have run. At the point when you actually generate the code, you can actually get the same number coming out more than once, whereas sites like this are doing it. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it a certain way to get a truly random number. So yeah, between 1 and 87 inclusive. So we'll click generate, and the answer is 52. Let's see who 52 is. Peter Wolford. So congratulations, Peter Wolford. If you've not seen this stream, I'll contact you on Patreon anyway. I did say postage up to the value of £30. If it's less than 30 quid, I'm guessing you might be in the UK here, and if you are, I'll throw something else in up to the value of the additional postage as well, just as an extra. Thank you very much to all the people that have supported me on Patreon, but also just my subscribers in general. Without all you guys and gals that comment on my videos and give me a thumbs up, sometimes a thumbs down, I wouldn't be doing YouTube, really. It really is about the community. It's about the friends that I've made. There are so many great channels out there, and it's good to see so many people on this stream here posting and supporting, and I know you've all been very patient while I've been trying to set up here. Thanks like 4X, Neffers, Electron Ash, more than just games. So many great faces here. Yeah, I'm blown away. So the other thing I will do is, I know because it's a bit disappointing when when you're not a patron, you think, oh, it'd be nice if we gave something away to non-patrons. So I'm going to do that as well. I think I'll perhaps do that next, either later in the week or next weekend. I have a SNES. Perfectly working SNES. It's a lovely shade of grey. It's only a PAL system, but you could always mod it. So I recently got that up and running. I'll probably upload the video at some point for that, but SNESs in general I've had some really bad experiences with. One of the problems with the SNES is you get a fault on one chip, and if you don't identify the cause of that fault pretty sharpish on a SNES, just in the process of testing it and having it powered up, you can get other faults appearing, because what tends to happen is you get something on the data bus, for example, or on an address bus, and then another chip fails as a result, and before you know it, you started off with something minor and you've then got two. You've got a faulty CPU and you've got a faulty PPU. So yeah, I will upload the video, but I must have about 5 spare SNES boards here, and every one of them has got either a faulty CPU or a faulty PPU1. So I've been kind of holding those videos back until I get to the point where I actually get enough working parts off a faulty board to actually make one of them work. It really is that bad. The CPUs and PPU1s die for fun on them. But anyway, I'll give away the grey SNES. That's going to be over the next week, and maybe the week after I have a nice Model 2 Mega Drive as well. So that'll go to just subscribers, everybody. It'll be open to everybody, that draw. I need to think what the criteria is. You might have just, I don't know, post on Twitter or post on Facebook or something to be included. But I'll open that up to everybody. And I think moving forward, one of the things I've said right from the start when I did Patreon, I would start giving away things. And I think that it's got to happen. I am in a position where that has to happen. I have no more room for things. And if I'm honest, I don't like selling things on eBay. And you might wonder why. And it's the whole thing with, how do I put this? With retro gaming systems, you know, you buy something that's got a fault and you repair it. And it's all about what else might go wrong with that system. A, in transit, but B, just because it's old and just because there might be something secondary that whilst you've tested it for, I don't know, several hours, you haven't spotted it, or it hasn't, it hasn't happened yet. And yeah, I've just had bad experiences in the past on eBay. I've sold one or two systems like that. I sold the pristine C64 that I think I showed a video on it. I think it was the one that was entitled something like, one was, I think it was one was a teardown and one wasn't. I didn't go into it because the warranty seal was still on there, and it was immaculate. That C64, it's perfect, and I sent it off, and I used a good courier. It was like Parcel Force or somebody, I don't know, and it was well packaged, and it got there and it was smashed to pieces. The receiver of that from eBay sent me quite a stroppy email, and he was all right actually, because he said actually it was well packaged, but he said, look what's happened to it, and the back of the case had all been smashed to pieces, and it was soul destroying. Thinking, you spent, well, in that case, all I'd done is clean it up from the outside, I hadn't been in it, but nevertheless, you start trying to sell these things on eBay, that's the sort of thing that happens. You also get people on eBay trying to take you for a ride. I've had a number of people swapping boards and going, oh, it doesn't work, I sent it back, and actually it's got a different seal number, I've marked it before I sent it, and you get all that sort of stuff going on. So it's far easier, I think, actually, if you use, some of the Patreon donations here to buy the things to repair, and then we'll just be giving out to a combination of patrons and subscribers. So yeah, you can expect maybe a few of these live streams. Even if we don't do any of the kind of live streams, we'll perhaps just get together once, I don't know, certainly once a month to do some of these giveaways, I think. Anyway, I'll try and catch up with some of the comments now. It's super hard to keep up actually with comments when I start rambling. Might be easier for other people, but Jamie's got a lot of experience at that, and Stu Roro has. He's done a fair bit of live streaming. Just reading through some of these here. A lot of talk about Ghostbusters. 4, look at that sexy Dragon 32. Gadgetborn.com. It's Peter here, by the way. I didn't see that. It's Peter Wolford in the stream or not? I see lots of congratulations, Peter. 60 watchers, that's really good considering I'm waffling and the massive lead-in time we had messing around with the sound. Again, apologies if it's still a bit fuzzy, the sound, breaking up a little bit and stuff. Neffers, I'm trying to sell stuff from my recording studio and it's a bloody pain, really bad. Yeah, I can imagine. Push it in and out about 20 times. Yeah, comment from Electron Ash there. DefPoms, electronic and repair channel. It's a buffering thing that happens with streams sometimes. Only fixes to restart. Yeah, hopefully it might be a bit better next time. I'm amazed it hasn't crashed, because one of the things I was saying when I was kind of trying to work my way through problems here is I've got an old PC. It's something I really need to do something about. Believe it or not, I'm still running on a 2007 vintage, if you can call it that, machine. It's almost getting retro. Give it another 3 or 4 years and it'll be retro. I think what's retro now, about 15 years? I thought I saw someone post on Twitter earlier. So yeah, it's an old machine. It's one of the quad-core Extreme. Is it Core 2 Duo Extreme? So I mean, it does run at 3.3 gigahertz. I could run faster than that. I can overclock it because it's got water cooling up to about 3.6 gigahertz. So it still performs really, really well. But yeah, the big problem is when I went to Windows 10. Obviously, you start to lose driver support for your motherboard chipset, and it's got an NVIDIA 68i, is it an M-Force chipset, which again is pretty old tech. So there are no native, no drivers from NVIDIA. You've just got the Microsoft ones. I can't work out whether that's part of the problem or not. The other thing is, I've got an NVIDIA GPU, and it's 760C. So again, it's not, it wasn't even cutting edge back in the day. It was only a 760, and this is around the time when people were probably buying like 970s and stuff. But it performs super well for the gaming I do on here. I've got 8 gig of RAM, but that's the most I can have on here. But what tends to happen is, I would say 2 or 3 times a day, my machine freezes. It just locks. Usually when something graphical is going on. So I don't know. Let's say I've got YouTube up, I'm watching a video, and if I minimise, then restore the window, it'll lock. The whole thing just locks. The cursor doesn't do anything. You can't end task, and yeah, I have to power cycle it. And I did a bit of research, well, a lot of research. I spent ages trying to understand what the cause is, changing the graphics drivers, playing around with some of the BIOS settings there, because for the Enforce chipset, there are quite a lot of settings you can change. You can adjust all the stuff to do with the hyper-threading, and not the hyper-threading, what's it called? I can't remember. There's some sort of bus, isn't there? Hyper something, I can't quite think of the term of it. But you can adjust all of the timing related to the bus there, and how that works, and the timing related to the North Bridge and the South Bridge and everything. So I played around with it a lot, and it made no difference whatsoever. Yeah, hypertransport. I knew Electron, I should know. He knows everything. I even played around with the hypertransport settings and things. That made no difference. I'm on the latest version of the BIOS. And the thing is, you could think, is it the machine? When I get these random hangs like that, you think, oh, it's the caps, or it's the GPU. The thing is, this machine is dual boot. I can boot back into XP 32-bit, and you know what? It's absolutely solid. It never crashes, it never hangs, it never reboots. So this only started with Windows 10, so it's some sort of driver issue, I think, there. I think what I was going to do is perhaps next change my graphics card, because I did find some other people on the NVIDIA forum saying that when they went to Windows 10, see you, Nefus, and anybody else who's got to go, thanks for staying with the stream so long. Yeah, as I was saying, I think there were a few people with the same graphics card, the 760C. They had the same problem with Windows freezing every now and again on Windows 10 when they went to Windows 10, and they said it was the NVIDIA drivers. I think what NVIDIA have done, they still support the older cards, but they are not going back and bug fixing, and, for some of those older cards. So I can get the latest drivers as they keep getting updated on a sort of, I don't know, monthly basis. Anyway, I'll perhaps go for a 1050 or a 1060, because those seem to be selling a little bit cheaper now as people are moving on to newer cards and stuff. I'll just try and catch up with some of the comments again here, see if there's any questions or anything. Yeah, I see a few people talking about different processors and stuff there. Mahat, I still have an old AMD Athlon 2 dual core system with HT. Yeah, I think the thing is with PCs, and this is the interesting thing, there was a time when you had to move with the technology. If you think back to the days of, I don't know, the 386, 286, when the 386 came out, you start to get games and software for the 386 that the 286 really wasn't capable of running. You really notice huge performance differences. And the same thing could be said about the 486 and the Pentium 2, the Pentium 3, even the Pentium 4. And then by the time you got up to the processors we're talking about here, that AMD processor that you just mentioned a minute ago, and the Core 2 Extreme in particular, we've kind of got into a generation of processors now, a generation of performance in general, where, yeah, you do get some quite nice performance increases with the next generation that comes out, but it's kind of not utilised, and there are certain bottlenecks within these systems that mean that you don't notice so much of a difference. I mean, yeah, you would for top, if you play, I don't know, Battlefield 4 or Battlefield V, Battlefield 5 on here, and tried to max it out in maximum settings, it would really struggle. But I'll tell you what, if you stuck the latest graphics card in this machine and tried to play those games, it probably would be more than playable. I'd probably get, a good 50, 60 frames per second. It wouldn't be anywhere near as good as an top of the range i7. One of those would totally shift. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Anyway, I'm rambling. As soon as I get talking about one subject, you can't shut me up. So I'll just come back to the comments again. Lotto's number. Electron Ash. The thing with Win 10 is it's definitely faster. Almost all gamers use it now. Yeah, I would agree with that. That I was pleasantly surprised at. I thought that Windows 10 was going to be kind of bloatware. And you know, that's another one of my pet peeves. You know, as newer generations of systems come out, as the software gets upgraded. You know, we go from, I don't know, 32-bit to 64-bit. You get a lot more bloatware. You know, you start looking at the size of just a basic executable now. It can be 100 meg for an executable, and you're thinking, oh my god, how on earth is this really small game 100 meg? You know, you're looking back to the days of, you know, Commodore 64 games being, you know, I don't know, 20k. Spectrum games being 12k, you know, just fitting inside a 16k system, etc. It's crazy how bloated software is these days as a result. But obviously, you know, you've got a lot more going on there. It needs to grow. It's going to be scary, I think, when we get to 128-bit systems. I've almost forgot what the point was I was trying to make now. Yeah, Windows 10, yeah, efficiency, yeah. So when I upgraded to Windows 10 on this machine, bear in mind I'd always run the 32-bit version of Windows XP, and that took forever to boot. If I, you know, reboot this machine now and boot into XP, I'll be waiting for 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes before the system has actually stopped hammering the disk, loading whatever it's doing for, you know, the services and things sat in the background and the AV software. Yet Windows 10, I can boot this in about 15 seconds flat, and this is not a fast machine. I've just got some really cheap, I think the Seagate actually, I think I've got some really cheap Seagate hybrid drives. So the standard hard disks, you know, SATA hard drives, but they've got a little bit of flash on there. I don't know how much, about 4 gig or 8 gig or something, and there's some sort of algorithm in there that tries to cache. I don't know how it does it. It'd be nice if it gave you control over how that cache works. That's one thing that did cross my mind. I think those drives, those hybrid drives, would be better, I think, if the manufacturer gave you some utility to specify what gets cached, because if you could do that, you know, my first choice would be, you know, some of the largest files that get used in the boot process. But you never know, you know, we don't know how that algorithm's working. For all I know, it could be caching YouTube. It could be caching streams and I don't know, all sorts of things when you don't want it to. But anyway, yeah, I'm rambling on again. I haven't got an SSD. It would be nice to get an SSD at some point as well. I see Dermot Sweeney's here posting M2 SSD drive as a life changer. Yeah, I've heard a lot about those. Wouter did one of those, didn't he? What's he called? I've lost. I can't think of the name of his channel now. Yeah, it might come to me in a bit. Anyway, he did a video. I think he was trying to fit one of those, wasn't he? His motherboard wouldn't support it or something, and that's the problem I've got. And the other reason I haven't upgraded this machine, actually, just coming back to the subject of PCs again and upgrading them, I made a fatal mistake. Throughout my life, I've always built PCs myself. You know, right from the age of, I don't know, 18, I think, when I first got into the PC industry. I built the first 286, and I built it, you know, from bare bones parts, from a motherboard, got a power supply, got a case, floppy drive, etc. And I always did that right up until about 2007 when I got this PC. And at that point, I got lazy and I thought, oh, let's buy a Dell. Let me get a Dell machine. I've heard good things about Dells. And yeah, that was a fatal mistake. So I bought this machine from Dell, and it was top of the range. It cost an arm and a leg at the time. But I went top of the range because my idea was, you know, buy something off the shelf, top of the range, so that I don't need to upgrade it for a long while. And to be fair, I haven't had to upgrade it for a long while, but it's got a BTX motherboard. And I don't know whether you're familiar with BTX. It's kind of like the, what's the word? Yeah, no one likes BTX. No one used BTX. BTX didn't get adopted. Hardly anybody went with BTX. So as a result, I can't put any of the motherboard in here. Yeah, I'll have to get an entire new system. Anyway, I'm going to have to bring this stream to a close in a minute, guys. If you've got any questions, please fire them away now. My wife's trying to get in touch with me. She's in France at the moment, actually, and she's probably going to be wondering why I'm not answering the phone here. And probably beat the shit out of me when she gets back. Yeah, thanks for the waffle stream. Yeah, thanks. Thanks to Peter Wolford. As I say, I'll contact you. You've not been on the stream. I'll contact you via Patreon. And as I say, maybe we can do this. I don't know. Maybe same time next week to give one of those other systems away, either the SNES or the Mega Drive. And at some point, like I say, if we get into the camera, we can perhaps I don't know, show you do some stuff while I'm actually on a live stream. You know, that's the thing I'd like to do. Really, it's just trying to get set up for that. Anyway, thanks all, and take care. Thank you very much for all the people that have joined. I'm sorry if I've not read your comments. I will read these back later and perhaps comment on them directly or something afterwards. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, guys, and have a good week.